In 14 days, astronauts will be here for training. And we're shooting a human into space, and it's never been done before. With the launch of the Russian spy satellite, the president is demanding an immediate response.
Running from the man.
Space Task Group needs a computer. Catherine's the gal for that. She can handle any numbers you put in front of her.
You and I are different from each other.
This is about inventing the math, because without it, we're not going anywhere.
Yes, sir.
That's John Glenn.
What do you gals do for NASA?
Calculate your launch and landing, sir. How could you be ogling these white men?
It's equal rights. I have the right to see fine in every color.
Everybody, welcome to What the Flick. Christy, Alonzo, Bibbs, and Ben. And it is the end of the year where certain movies open in New York and LA, and then they're going to go wider in January, so you aren't paying attention to all the crappy horror movies and failed rom-coms that the studios are putting out. And one of those movies is Hidden Figures, a true story about three women who were essential to getting us into space. Christy.
Well, it is about three women who were essential to getting us into space. They are brilliant, and they happen to be black in the South in the early 60s. They are played by Taraji P. Henson, Octavia Spencer, and Janelle Monáe. They are working at NASA. They are in a separate building, like a half a mile across campus from where all the actual stuff is happening, all the important stuff, but they provide the crucial mathematic calculations that needed to be done to get into space, and they didn't get the credit that they so richly deserved until now. Take a look.
Colonel Glenn launches in a few weeks. We don't have the math figured out yet.
There's no protocol for women attending.
There's no protocol for a man circling the Earth either, sir.
Every time we have a chance to get ahead, they move the finish line.
I need to be in that room hearing what you hear.
Within these walls, who makes the rules?
You, sir, you are the boss. You just have to act like one, sir.
We have liftoff.
We all get there together, or we don't get there at all. In the fight of our lives, people.
My gals are ready. We can do the work.
More than 50 million Americans watching.
I got a warning light.
Go find Katherine.
Colonel Glenn?
There's a real fireball outside. It's getting a little hot in here.
This is a hokey movie. I mean, there's no two ways about it. But it's a compelling one and a story I didn't know.
I did not know.
And there was somebody was just talking about that they were quoting David Mamet saying that it's people like to see movies about people who are good at their jobs. Mm-hmm. Like that's why heist movies have an appeal. You know, because you're seeing people.
That's my most attractive feature for people in life or movies.
Yeah, that they're good at what they do.
Competency is underrated as a
absolutely
aphrodisiac.
So it's just fun watching these women be super smart and frankly in this day and age that a movie that is in favor of making science look like sexy and interesting and vital is great. And I think that the way that it depicts the era is really smart compared to a lot of other films that are about sort of recent American racism, because if you depict all the white people as being like, Klansmen with nooses in their hands, contemporary white audiences can go, oh, well, I wouldn't be that guy. I'd be like that nice Emma Stone, and I would have been. And this movie really portrays how that kind of racism was just systemic, and it was just part of the grain of everyday life. And so you could be somebody like the Kirsten Dunst character, who is the boss of the computers, which are the women that actually do the longhand math, or like Jim Parsons, who's one of the engineers. And think that, you're a progressive, polite, whatever person, but at the same time still be treating black people, like second-class citizens, being condescending, being exclusionary. And that's what the reality was. It was just part of the grain of American life. It wasn't like these terrible people foaming at the mouth all the time.
Right, there's a great scene in the bathroom between Octavia Spencer and Kirsten Dunst. And it's like Kirsten Dunst thinks she's having this moment of truth, like, I just want to let you know that I don't have a problem with you people, or something along those lines. And Octavia Spencer just like shuts her down. And so that is a good example of that right there. Yeah, it's really well made, it's well acted, production values, costumes, there's an impeccable cast. Mahershala Ali is also there. We love him.
Yay! With Janelle Monáe, although they don't have any scenes together.
That's true. They're both
Moonlight together.
That's true, but it's just like it's
they're in the picnic together.
That's true. Yes, they have a moment. You're right.
Very good point. But But every woman gets her big moment to shine and like stand up and make her big speech, and it's kind of all obvious and predictable, but like well made. And again, like as a story we don't necessarily know, it is hokey, it is feel good, but like take your girls, take your boys, like take your kids to see this. It's worthwhile.
And it's good hokey. Like you can do hokey and be a piece of shit, and this is at least strong, well-made hokey.
There's a market for schmaltz, but we're allowed to have standards for a schmaltz. Just like, oh, it's schmaltzy, therefore I like it because I like schmaltz. No, because that's how we get collateral beauty. This is actually like just really well-crafted, thoughtful. Every character is well written. Every plot point feels earned, even if it's like kind of big and emotional. There's this scene with Kevin Costner towards the end where he starts beating something, and I won't tell you what. That could have felt really, really fake, but the movie kind of earns it, doesn't it? It's effectively told.
He also he underplays it perfectly. That scene. So I didn't like it as much as you guys because it felt so unbelievably safe and still had that after school special quality to it. But now, you know, in the weekly moment where one of you guys convinces me to raise my scores, already happened.
Which one of us was it?
No,
Can we guess?
definitely Alonzo, because to me,
Alonzo wins today.
I thought that the sort of portrayal of what it must have been like to be a black woman working in Virginia at NASA in 1961 was not deeply or passionately conveyed in the film enough that I thought, I was like, this doesn't seem like that. But I appreciate supremely that effort of no, what was great was that those guys didn't look up from their desks when Taraji P. Henson walked in every single time, knowing what she must know. Not one guy thought to say, hey, welcome. Here's where the coffee is. You know, we usually go to lunch at Fleming's at about 12:30. It'd be great if you guys came. Most people bring a lunch. Your desk is over here. Nice to have you. Nothing that he would have done if a 33-year-old white guy had walked in. So you're right. It's not. Nobody's putting on a hood and these guys probably voted for Kennedy, right? But they were still like, what is she doing here? And if she is here, she's not just, that moment where I thought it was going to be a movie where when she first walks in, somebody hands her the trash because they think she's the cleaning woman and criticizes her too. Like not just hands her trash, says, this wasn't emptied yesterday. Like you didn't do your job, your stupid menial job. No offense to people who clean out the trash in this guy's mind. And I thought it was going to be, we're going to get a lot of this. But the silence was better. So that is a way of underplaying racism that I think worked effectively.
Yeah.
So
when she walks in the first time, they all stop what they're doing. They stare at her. When she walks out the last time, no one looks up.
Yeah, right.
Then she's accepted.
They don't care. No, but they don't care.
Yeah. No, I
viewed it as they don't care that she's leaving.
Really?
I still thought they're not.
She has to register as a person.
There's no single craft moment.
I see what you mean.
She's gone now.
Okay. That's true. We haven't gotten that far yet.
Yeah, not unacceptable.
When you're making a message movie like this, and we've all seen a million of them, we've all seen movies that are like, this is an inspiring true story. Often they don't actually feel that inspiring, but you're trying to make them sort of palatable. You're trying to make sure that everyone's going to want to see the movie. You're going to make it entertaining. You're going to make it sweet, kind of romantic at times, and I think this movie really does a good job of that. And so that the moments, and maybe they're not as beautifully dramatized as they could be in something maybe a bit more serious, more dour, I think that makes it more effective, and I think that makes the movie a bit more valuable. One of the comments I hear a lot from people asking me about Hidden Figures, should I see Hidden Figures? Because they then add, it looks like the movie they put on in history class on a rainy day. And it is that movie. But those movies work. Those movies have an impact. Those movies have an excellent job.
Why would history class be impacted by the rain?
You would think. I think it's because the teacher is drunk.
All right.
But because they were having class outside today.
They're depressed.
No, but
I think that's the point. We introduce young people to an experience.
And also, it's like those movies in history class, there are good ones and there are bad ones, and this is one of the good ones, I would argue. Also, I really like the Pharrell songs in the film that are contemporary songs that are made to sound like 60s R&B.
It's got a great soundtrack.
I really enjoyed the score a lot.
Yeah. I don't. You guys you don't have this because, as I recall from The Martian, you guys didn't have this either. I don't think that. I think A Beautiful Mind got it way better than either The Martian or this. When famous Hollywood actors or actresses have to say math out loud, I find it it instantly removes me from the movie. I just think, oh, Taraji P. Henson had to memorize these words in this order. She has no idea what it means, nor does anybody involved in the movie, except the one consultant hired who actually made sure that line was correct. And so, and I felt like I groaned during The Martian during much of that. And so, you know, like even when he's like, we're gonna science the shit out of this, if he said something like that.
He said that.
He said exactly that.
And I'm like, oh.
I don't know.
I don't know. It just didn't. To me, it doesn't work, and I didn't like it. And so there were too many of those movies. I liked this fine, but those
I bought that coming out of their mouths. If we're going to talk about the math, the thing that does bug me about this movie, there is not a single slide rule in this film.
Oh, should they have that?
Everybody used slide rules in 1960, whatever.
There's that great scene in Apollo 13 where it's just everyone in Mission Control using a slide rule, and it's a big montage of slide rules and how badass the slide rule is.
Like that
and how all
was
these people would
before
be
there were
dead without a
calculators.
slide
They
rule.
all had slide rules. These guys would have had them like strapped to their hip. Not one in this movie.
My theory is that the target demographic for this movie, many of which I think is going to be young people who see this and sort of experience this for the first time. They're not that familiar with the history of it. They're going to see that and go, "What the heck is that?" And then they don't have to have a scene explaining a slide rule where Taraji P. Henson takes her young daughter. This is a slide rule. This is what I used to work.
I figured that's why they did it, but still, I call bullshit on that. But that's a minor point.
My favorite part was the friendship, like the chemistry that they had in the three scenes. You get sometimes in little scenes. There's a dramatic scene in the beginning where their car breaks down and a cop comes up behind them, and it's Virginia, and it's 1960, and they have to convince the cop that they're important people or NASA is awaiting their arrival so they can work, and and that's filled with the tension that goes with it, and
that's built on their distinct personalities.
It's built right. Each one of them has a different way of dealing with it, but they all are respectful ultimately of each person's way of dealing with it. Like that friendship. A lot of movies tell us people are friends. You got the sense, these women are friends.
They're showing.
They look out for each other.
They look out for
And
each other. I like that.
I want to single out just real fast because we expect great things from Octavia Spencer. She's a brilliant actress. We expect great things with Taraji P. Henson. She's a brilliant actress. Janelle Monáe is relatively new at this, and she holds her own.
She's great.
She's charismatic as hell.
Between this and Moonlight, she's my breakout star of the year. I want to see her act more. She's great. Every scene she's in, she nails. She's an exciting presence on camera.
We should mention really fast who plays John Glenn. Glenn Powell, who is so charming and everybody wants him.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
I had to look it up.
I thought you were excited because he had Glenn in his name.
No.
Oh, okay.
That'd be like Patterson, right?
Yeah.
And the driver is the driver. But
he's lovely.
He's really good in Everybody Wants Somebody really good in this. And like John Glenn could have been just like, stoic kind of.
Right.
And he's a person who interacts with them all beautifully as well. So even like when he's in the pod in his little helmet and having to say stuff, like there's characterization there. So yeah, Glenn Powell.
Just not since Ed Harris in The Right Stuff has John Glenn been so interesting on film.
His role is certainly not as showy as the three women, but Kevin Costner is quite adept at solid.
I think my favorite Kevin Costner is like 1960s buzz cut, white short sleeve button down Kevin Costner.
Right, Jim Garrison, 13 Days.
Yeah, 13 days. That's
right.
it's a whole subgenre now.
Yeah. Right.
All right, so what are your numbers then? Ben, you did not love it. Do you want to
I gave it a
change your number?
6.8 is what I'm going to, so that'll pull your thing up by 0.1.
Okay.
Your total.
Okay, so 6.8 for you.
I said 7.5. I think again, it is corny, and you have to accept that it's corny. But I think it's the good, tasty corn.
I give it 8.2. I think it is slick. Bring the grandparents. They're going to love it.
Yes, I'm saying 7.3, so I'm somewhere in the middle. So our average is now a 7.5, and it's very, very high on the tomato meter. It is 93% on the tomato meter. It's out in a couple of places now. It'll be going wide January 9th, I want to say.
I thought it was the 13th, but I who knows what.
I think it's going to expand.
In January, but it is hard to imagine anyone actively disliking this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like that doesn't seem. If you dislike it, there's probably something wrong with you.
Put that on the poster,
it's not
please.
a hateable film.
Yeah, it's not really hateable. You can't. It's
you could be indifferent. That's as bad as
maybe that's as bad as it
We didn't say the name of the director, Theodore Melfi.
Yeah.
Who did the terrible St. Vincent, but this is way better.
This is good.